All right. Hey, everyone. What's going on? Welcome to the Thursday live stream, Z Talks. And for anyone who didn't see my announcements earlier and you just clicked on this randomly now, yeah, Z Talks going forward will be starting from 8 o'clock UK time instead of 9 o'clock. It's just a little bit easier for myself. It's a little bit easier for some of my guests as well. So with that in mind, we've actually got two people brand new to Z Talks this week. That is Paul Tambs and D Movieman, whilst Elliot is making a return to the channel once again. So I'm going to just start this off by just throwing over each one of my guests. And Paul, we're going to start with you.
Yeah.
I was recently on Paul's channel for a live stream myself called Movie Buffs, where it was a lot of fun, a lot of questions, which was awesome. But Paul, for anyone who's coming over to my channel today and doesn't know of you, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about your channel?
Yeah, man. So my channel is called Paul Tambs Movies, Games and TV. And I pretty much talk about exactly that: movies, games, and TV. I've done trailer reactions, reviews, physical media hauls, live streams, rankings, anything. Any chance I get to talk about movies or anything in the movie space, I'll try and get a video out. But if you haven't seen me before, please go over there, hit the subscription button, because I'm trying to get them numbers up, man. We have a lot of fun on that channel. I always like to bring in a lot of guests. Mike, you've been on the channel. So yeah, that's pretty much my channel.
Right. Yeah, dude, you've got some awesome stuff. And I know, obviously, we've discussed this as well, but you've recently come back from a little hiatus from YouTube.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely come back with a bang. And the Movie Buffs is an awesome segment, and I'm excited to kind of see other people do it as well, because I was the first everyone to do it, so that was awesome. So yeah, so Paul is quite near 500 subscribers, so please go subscribe to him. The links are in the description box below. Let's get him to that milestone. And then another person who's close to a milestone is Elliot from I.M.O Reviews. He's one subscriber away from 250, his yearly goal. So yeah, let's subscribe to Elliot as well. Elliot, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about your channel?
Yeah, sure. Similar to Paul, I talk about movies. I try and keep it light-hearted. I'm not the most professional reviewer, if you will. It is quite a relaxed opinion, and we sort of have a bit of fun with it. We dive into games, a little bit into music as well, TV shows. We also have a new segment called Hot Takes, where I ask the public for their hot takes on certain movies or TV shows. An actor they think is overrated. They probably, I don't know, Jack Nicholson is awful, for example. And then we discuss that point, and that's the whole point of Hot Takes. So yeah, it's a fun channel. That's the main aim of the goal, but it is based around movies.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And I know you've also been dabbling into CD reviews or album reviews as well, which is awesome, like something different as well to your channel, not just like movies.
Yeah, absolutely. I try and get onto the albums as much as I can. Sometimes it's just the pile up is too big. There's like 3 movies to review, and then there's 2 albums coming out, a TV show, and you just sort of have to cut your losses sometimes and say, okay, I won't do that one, but I will do this one. But yes, there will be some album reviews coming up in the future as well.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And well, I'm excited to see what else you've got coming up, and we'll talk about that, especially towards the end of the stream. But yeah, anyone who isn't subscribed to Ellie from I.M.O Reviews, the links are in the description box. Please go subscribe to him. Let's get him to 250 subscribers. Well, plus that anyway, that would be awesome. And then last but not least, we've also got D Movieman, who I know when I told Paul that I was going to get D on the stream before I told him about Elliot, he was like, wow, I can't wait. I love D Movieman. So D, you've got a lot of love, not just from on this stream also. So yeah, D, how are you today?
I am great. I'm doing pretty good. Really, really excited to be here.
Awesome. And D, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about your channel, what people can expect to see? I mean, I know you're called D Movieman, but yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so I am D Movieman, fellow cinephile, popcorn addict, and emerging film critic, coming to you guys with reliable recaps, reviews, and reactions. That's kind of my, I guess, tagline, so to speak, as far as my channel. And that kind of sums it all up. I do the occasional trailer reaction. I do the occasional series recap. And but the bulk of my channel is really dedicated to movies and cinema and just my appreciation of it, and various films, various reviews, and even within my commentary, kind of linking it, to childhood and just life experiences, and really understanding how that medium has really impacted my life. And so it's a little bit of me, it's a little bit of the medium, and just a celebration of it overall. So.
Right. Yeah, and dude, like your channel's awesome, and I love the way that you break down a movie. I don't think there's anyone who quite breaks it down like you, to be honest, and certainly ways you go about it. So yeah, please go subscribe to D Movie Man if you're not, and also Paul Tambs and Elliot. And with that in mind, we've also got a surprise guest join us tonight. So we're actually going to have 5 people on the stream. So yeah, let's please give a big welcome to Alex from I.M O Reviews. So Alex, how are you?
Hi. Good. How's everyone doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great, man. Yeah, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah. I was like, I like being a surprise guest. Like, hi, everyone.
Well, yeah, Alex. So, I mean, I know I was saying to Paul before the stream, I was like, I know, like, at the moment you're on, like, break from being schools. So I was like, I definitely want to try to get you on the channel as much as I can, like, while you've got a bit of time. So, yeah, so welcome, Alex. We've just been introducing our, like, channels and what everyone can expect to see. So do you want to tell everyone a little bit about your channel, what people can expect at A-Town Alex or A-Town Reviews?
Yeah, so I'm from A-Town Reviews. I do movie reviews, series reviews, trailer reactions. I like to do little comedy skits within my reviews lately. That's been a lot of fun to do. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Yeah, man, I love the comedy skits you've been doing, like, and especially when you're like been playing your alter ego or whatever you've been doing, and the Resident Evil one cracked me up. I love that. And yeah, so please go subscribe to Alex. His link is actually in the description box below. So if anyone read that before the live stream started, you would have known he was the surprise. But anyway, yeah, all my guest links are in there. And we've also got some comments, so we'll go through them. Then I've got a question to ask you guys. So firstly, we've got Jamie Lee from In the Front Row. So hey, Jamie, hope you're doing good. She's like, oh my God, D is in the house and Elliot again. She loves you guys. It's going to be fun. So I don't know if Jamie's tuning live, because I think this comment was left a little bit time ago. But hey, Jamie, if you are, hope you're doing good.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
We've also got the view with Drew saying, hey, what's up? So hey, Drew.
What's up, man?
Hi, Drew.
We've also got Lockdown Stash. I don't know what that is. I'm assuming a hello. So hey.
Wagwan.
Someone's very excited, so that's awesome. We've also got the Jacob Martin. So hey, Jacob. Doing good.
Hey, bud.
We've got Gareth from Video Tasty saying evening. Hey, Gareth, hope you're doing good. Thanks for joining us. We've also got Nate from the Unbiased Movie Nerd saying, hope everyone has fun. Want to drop in and say hi, but got a bounce. He's got a showing off League of Super Pets. So awesome. Hope you have
Enjoy
fun,
the
man.
cinema, bud.
Yeah.
Definitely. And JCX Shorts is here as well, just saying hello. So yeah, hey JCX, hope you're doing good. So we've actually got our first question. And this is an interesting topic right now. Jacob saying, thoughts on the current DC situation and wake up the Batgirls cancellation. Okay, so I'm not going to comment too much because I'm going to actually try to plan like a full live stream based on just DC and like rant on about it basically. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to go first to Paul. So Paul, what's your kind of thoughts on the Batgirl cancellation?
I'm gutted they've cancelled that. I was actually quite looking forward to Batgirl. I only recently realised that the directors were the two lads who did Bad Boys for Life, and they also did Miss Marvel. I didn't know that was them. They were doing that film, so that's bummed me out as well because I've liked their previous work. All the behind the scenes stuff, all the set we've seen of Batgirl looked like it was going to be a lot of fun. But DC needs to sort it out, man. DC, I don't know what is going on with DC. I don't know what's going on with Warner Brothers. The DCEU, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care about it anymore. I'm not bothered. They've got rid of Batman. They've got rid of Superman in the DCEU, but they're still bringing out Aquaman 2, and they're still doing Black Adam, which is connected to the DCEU, but then they've got a standalone Batman. I don't know what is going on. All I'm bothered about is keeping Matt Reeves' Batman intact. Just leave Matt Reeves alone with that. Leave him the hell alone with that world, that property, and go and figure out something else you want to do. But leave Batman alone. But I'm gutted Batgirl's been cancelled. I was actually looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, what you're saying, yeah, I agree with you about leave Matt Reeves alone. And also, is it Todd Phillips who does Joker?
Mm-hmm.
Is that him? Yeah, like leave those two alone. Let them do what they do. Because to be honest, like the recent DC movies, the ones that's been making the highest movie is Joker and Batman that's not connected to the DCEU.
Yeah.
That just goes to say something if that's happening. So, Alex, what's your opinion on this?
That it really broke my heart. I was looking forward to Batgirl. I was especially excited to see Brendan Fraser come back and play as Firefly. Like that was going to be really cool. And I'm kind of upset about it just because like they're gonna cancel Batgirl, but they're still leaving the Flash available after all the nonsense that's going through. Like that's also already done filming and all that. So like, why not cancel that one? Like, but yeah, just like Paul said, the DC Warner Brothers, they need to get some sort of plan together. They need to figure out what they want to do. It looks like they're just throwing stuff at the wall, see what sticks. Trying to play catch up with the MCU, trying to build their own franchise, but it's just, you need a goal. You need somewhere to lead to. Like if you're going to do standalone movies, that's fine. Do that. Let the fans know that. And then I'm fine with standalone movies like the Batman. If that's its own separate universe, I'm chill with that. Same with Joker. Just figure it out. Just figure it out, DC.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think we all kind of feel like that because I've been seeing D and Elliot nodding along here being like, right, yeah, I'm feeling this as well. So yeah, I know. So D, I'm going to ask you next. So I know that when you've recently reviewed some of the Marvel properties, like say Doctor Strange, you weren't huge on that. And I have a feeling that sometimes I feel like this superhero fatigue at points. So yeah, D, what's your thoughts on the situation about Batgirl?
The thing is with DC, it's always interesting because I've said this in a couple of reviews. But WB and DC, Batman in particular, that was my introduction to superheroes. Period. Like before, I think I was 2 or 3, and it was Batman Returns, it was Batman Mask of the Phantasm, and then Batman the Animated Series. All 3 of those. And then shortly after, I got into X-Men, the animated series, and then I didn't know it was Marvel, but Batman, that was the beginning of everything. So I've always had a special appreciation for the character and the world and all of that. And even when I haven't necessarily cared for certain iterations, I always just enjoy being placed within, just the universe in general. And so for me, like with Batgirl, like Paul said, like the directors, I was kind of a fan of theirs based off of Bad Boys for Life. I was interested in that. The talent, I saw Leslie Grace in The Heights. So I was kind of excited for that. Brendan Fraser, like a lot of talented people involved in this. And I figured if nothing else, it would just be another interesting story set within that world. But I've kind of realized that Warner Brothers, like I would have to really like go and look and see like who has been in charge and who has been running things and who is in the positions of power or whatever, because a lot of their decisions don't make any sense. I even said back in Mortal Kombat, they had thousands of characters to choose from. And they go and they sabotage stuff behind the scenes. They're like, hey, let's make a totally new character no one ever heard of. Make them the focus. Let's turn them into the golden kneecap from the Fairy Odd Parents. Like, it's giving me dumb power. Like, there's so many films connected to Warner Brothers. Like, the list really goes on. So the sad part is it's not even the superhero DC part. It just seems like somebody somewhere within that organization is just either really does not like DC and wants to sabotage them, or they're like, hey, this is fun to just like play fast and loose with DC and just watch the fans go crazy. So yeah.
Yeah, and I know Alex, especially when you mentioned Mortal Kombat, was like, yeah. And believe it or not, before the stream started, me, Paul, and Elliot were actually talking about Mortal Kombat as well. So I think we all have kind of feelings on that. I've actually got a question related to this, but I'm actually going to go to Elliot at I.M.O Reviews. So Elliot, what's your thoughts on this? Do you kind of agree with everyone, or do you have a bit of a different take?
Yeah, we're all singing from the same hymn sheet tonight. Pardon me. The DC universe at the minute, it reminds me of that Community meme where Donald Glover walks in with pizza and the whole house is on fire and he's just sort of like, I don't know what's going on. The Batman is Donald Glover and everything else is the DC universe. And it's funny, but it does hurt because I love DC. It's what I grew up with as well. Batman, first and foremost. The Batman and the Joker was probably one of the first complex relationships in art that I understood and was like, oh, there's a depth to this. It's not just punch, bang, beat each other up, the hero saves the day. There is mental complexities to it, and it really opened my eyes. And similar to D, from there I found other superhero properties. I personally think DC should just, I thought they found the answer when they did Joker and Batman. We just need to start doing more properties in that fashion. I'd love to see a fresh take on Superman, for example, but you know, less comic booky. Let's be more gritty about it, like we are with the Batman and with the Joker. I think that's the path they need to take, but they seem really scared to do it. They want to do what Marvel are doing, and I just don't think they're capable of it.
Nah. Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I mean, one thing I wanted to ask you guys is with this, I mean, I've got two questions. The first one is, like Elliot was saying, so I think we can all kind of agree that the biggest kind of hits DC's had recently is probably the Joker, the Batman, and Zack Snyder's version of the Justice League. So it seems as if we take it back to, say, the Nolan trilogy, that is going to be one of the biggest things that put DC on the map in current times. And I've always preferred DC over Marvel. I know that's maybe sacrilege. Maybe I'm going to get some nasty comments very shortly. But I've always preferred that more serious take to the superhero genre, and that more realistic take, like the Batman, the Joker, and stuff provides. So, I mean, I think personally, I would love to see a universe where they expanded on those movies and took more of a serious route going forward. But I mean, what do you guys think? I'm opening up to anyone.
I mean, like, for me, I like Marvel doing their thing, and I like they've got a formula, and it works. Regardless if you're enjoying their movies, you're on the fence of them, you're not liking them. They've got a winning formula. It's winning for them every single time. It's raking in money every single time. They haven't had a dud film. They've had ones that haven't made as much as others, but they haven't had, I don't think they've had a bomb. Not one in, how many films have they done? They haven't had, I don't think they've had one bomb. DC, on the other hand, I mean, even, I'm pretty sure James Gunn's Suicide Squad didn't do as well as he wanted it to.
Nah.
I think. But that aside, after I seen the Batman, that's still my best film of the year, and Batman in general is my favorite comic book character of all time. Always has been, always probably will be. When I watched that film, I was like, just whatever you've done previously with DCU, get rid of that and focus on this. This is your golden ticket now to correct whatever mistakes you've made and just ride the train with it. Like I said, leave Matt Reeves. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's proven that with that movie for me. Let him ride that train, and he will knock out movie after movie after movie, hit after hit. So,
yeah, no, I agree. Does anyone else have anything else to add to that?
The only small thing I will add is that I must admit, I have got that superhero fatigue that you mentioned earlier, Mike, and I am finding it mostly with Marvel and Phase 4. It does feel a little bit aimless at the moment, and it's also quite bloated. I feel like I finish one Marvel property and then there's immediately another one to watch, and I almost go into that property negatively because I'm like, oh, another one? Really? And I should go in sort of, oh, yeah, brilliant. This is going to be fun. I kind of also hope Marvel don't get lazy and just think, we've got this, we know what we're doing. I hope they also freshen things up a little bit as well.
Right.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, my issue with the DC is really, I guess, my issue with the whole Marvel piece, because I know it's very neutral Switzerland to say, but you know, I enjoy superhero stories in general, and I think when you really dive into what makes each individual character or what makes their individual worlds work, I think that's kind of the key. You know, the thing I always emphasize in a lot of reviews is storytelling, because I've been a big reader since I was very, very young, and that's something that stirred my imagination. And I kind of understood the impact of storytelling, you know, very early on. And so when I see films not really understand, or films or certain universes, cinematic universes or whatever, so looking at DC and not seeing how they don't value or don't see the value in how rich these characters are and how rich these universes are and how much depth and how much you can pull from it is very frustrating. Like I've even seen, and I said I watched Mask of the Phantasm. That's still probably one of my all-time favorite Batman films, even though it is animated. And then I got older and I saw that they have so many great animated films. Like I saw, what was that? Batman Assault on Arkham and Teen Titans, and like they have so many great ones. And it's like, why don't you take, I don't know, whoever is writing these, whoever is like the driving creative force behind these films, like take that, think about that same creativity, the same process that you're going through for this. I understand animation and live action is different. There's a whole lot more pieces to it, but think about that and then just flesh it out for the live action. And as far as Matt Reeves, I think also having directors in place that have the right vision. With the Batman, I kind of went in like, not because I don't like Batman, but I was worried it's going to be too dark, it's going to be too serious, it's going to be too long, too bloated. I'm going to be sitting there like, oh my gosh, when is this going to be over? And instead, I really wasn't invested. And I'm someone who loves the slow progression. I don't need, constant, colors and flashes and comedy or anything like that. And it took that story and really despite what we always seen with Batman, it gave us like a new perspective on that. It felt like a noir film. It felt like a detective story. It felt like all these things that we haven't necessarily seen before. And I think a big part of that is Matt Reeves. He's done Cloverfield. He's done Let Me In. He did Dawn and War of the Planet of the Apes. So having people also who know what they're doing and can contribute to that vision and help flesh it out is also really important.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. And, the vision that he had worked well with the Batman. I was saying for like Todd Phillips, who had the vision for the Joker and touched on the mental health side of things, which we've never really seen in a superhero kind of movie before, which really, for me, like that movie makes it stand out. And I want to revisit that one. I want to revisit the Batman. I would revisit Zack Snyder's Justice League because it was like the 4-hour storytelling to get to that end point. And I kind of wish that we still had Zack Snyder because he had a plan for, I think, 3 Justice League movies, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So if they were going to build a DCEU, like, pay him the money he needs, get him back, especially if there's someone brand new in the head CEO seat right now. It'd be the perfect sense to go and carry it on. I've got a question to this, but one other thing I just want to say very quickly is this comment made me laugh. The Big Robert Free says, "What's up, fellas? So many studs in one stream." So, hey, Rob, how are you doing? We have got some more comments and stuff. We are going to read them out very shortly. But this is my second question. So, as Rob saying, what are all your thoughts on the Flashpoint movie going forward in the DCEU's future? So, I think just to give a bit of context for this is, if anyone doesn't know, Michael Keaton is supposed to return in the Flash movie.
Yeah.
And there was rumors to say that he was going to be the DCEU's new Batman and not Ben Affleck. But then, of course, the Batgirl's been cancelled, so he was in that movie also. And then there's also been rumored now that Ben Affleck's going to be in Aquaman 2. So it's kind of like this. So yeah, Alex, I'm going to go to you first. So if we take the Ezra Miller thing aside, because I think we're all not fans here from what I'm gathering. So if we took him aside, do you think that this still should go forward with a Flash movie with Michael Keaton in it?
Well, I feel like if the current plan, and once again, we have no idea if Warner Brothers even has a plan, but if the current plan is to just restart the DC universe in cinema, then I feel like this is the movie to do it. Just completely just erase everything, have like the Flashpoint end with him changing his appearance so he looks like Grant Gustin from the CW show. Get someone good on the role, and just start over, start fresh. Like get all the movies that you already have planned out. So like let's just finish off at Aquaman 2, Shazam, Black Adam. Get those movies out, get them done with, because the filmmakers, the actors have put a lot of hard work into those movies. They deserve to be seen, and I especially want to see Shazam. I liked that movie. I thought it was funny. But we got to get those movies out and then just start fresh. Like you have the Batman, Matt Reeves Batman, you have Todd Phillips Joker, like build off of those if they want to do a universe. Like, because I would love to see like a Matt Reeves focused DC universe. I think he would do a really good job. I also really liked James Gunn, how he did the Suicide Squad. I loved how he had comedy, but it was also really gritty and dark for a movie. This is what I wanted from a DC movie.
Right.
I would like to see, Matt Reeves, though, run the DC universe, like let him be the head of it. And like one of my biggest fantasies in that realm is you have this really dark Batman, but I want them to make a super hopeful Superman. Very like it's kind of I like the comic book kind of corny Superman.
Yeah.
Like I love that character so much. He fills me with love and hope, which is what the character is supposed to be. And I would love to see like a buddy cop thing with a really dark Batman and a super cheerful Superman. That would be adorable and awesome. And they'd be the best of friends. That's what I want. Going back to the Flashpoint, that's what I want the Flashpoint to do. Just erase everything, create a new universe.
Wow, that's an interesting take. I mean, the buddy cop element as well. Like that's. Would you still have Henry Cavill as Superman?
I really liked Henry Cavill, and here's another hot take for you. I preferred his Superman in the Whedon cut of Justice League. I thought.
Wow.
Yeah. People get mad at me when I say that. I don't like I don't like Zack Snyder's take on Superman. He's just a sexy brick wall. That's all Superman is in his movies. But like in the Whedon cut, he was corny, and I liked it. Like when he was about to fight, what's his name, Steppenwolf. He's like, I like truth, but I'm a big fan of justice. And I'm like, that's Superman. I loved that. I loved that so much. But so if they can get Henry Cavill to come back and just have him be Henry Cavill, like that would be the perfect Superman. But I don't know. I think he's probably over it by now. So we'll see.
I don't think I've ever heard Superman being referred to as a sexy brick wall. So that's a new one. Elliot, we'll go to you next. What do you think about this?
I completely agree. I think that a Superman has to be cheerful. He has to counteract Batman. And if Batman's going to be really dark and grisly, then Superman has to be the bright sunshine and hopeful nature. Henry Cavill was good, but I agree. I think he is probably past it now. Flashpoint, to be honest, I have almost zero hope for that movie. It was meant to come out years ago, wasn't it? And it's been delayed and stopped, and then COVID happened, and then there was trouble on set, and there was changes to the script, and all of these things never usually end up being good. And then, of course, the current situation with Ezra Miller, which we won't go into, that doesn't help things either. Right. Ben Affleck coming in, Michael Keaton coming in. It's so typical DCEU at the moment, just chucking everything at the wall and hoping for the best. But I completely agree. We've got some hope in some of these properties. Just focus on them, push them forward. And this might be a smoother ride than you might think.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. Paul, do you have anything else to add to this?
Yeah, I mean, like the question is, what are your thoughts on Flashpoint movie? I want a Flashpoint movie. I don't want the one they're giving us though. Flashpoint for me is one of the best comic book stories DC have done. The Flashpoint animated movie DC put out is awesome. I would like to see a Flashpoint movie, but all this is from what they've told us just through on not reviews, like interviews and stuff, that it's sort of this movie's supposed to be a reset point, isn't it? That's the basis of this film, is to reset the DCEU. Now, I believe that they said, so they've got rid of Cavill, they've got rid of Affleck. I believe at some point they were supposed to be bringing in Supergirl. Supergirl's supposed to be in Flashpoint, I believe. And so Supergirl and Batgirl were supposed to be the new head of the Justice League going forward after Flashpoint. But I don't know. I pass caring. I don't care anymore. I've got no interest in Black Adam movie. I've got no interest in Shazam. I've got no interest in Aquaman 2. I'm past it. I'm not bothered anymore. Until they give me a clear cut plan of what they're doing and where they're going. Because what's the point watching these Aquaman and Black Adam? Because they're not gonna. I feel like they're not gonna do anything. They're just going to be films we're going to watch, and then they're not going to benefit. I don't know. I'm just not bothered. That's the best I can say about it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I've got a comment to add, but I'm going to go lastly to D Movieman. So D, what's your thoughts on the Flashpoint movie?
What I was also going to agree with Alex about with James Gunn is also the Peacemaker series. I've expressed thoughts about. I've previously expressed thoughts about John Cena and that character, and so when that series was announced, I was like, of all the people within that group, you could have made a series about. You made it about him. I was like, okay, well, can't wait to see this go down in flames. Well, I was proven wrong, and believe it or not, I actually don't mind being proven wrong. Because that series I've never seen a series take an actor and a character that I'm not the biggest fan of and give me a reason to root for them, give me a reason to care about them, and all these other characters I've never heard of for the most part. So I think that's also another good direction to go in with some of these series. Not overload them, because I think with similar to Marvel, I think sometimes when you get lost in the sauce and you have so many different projects, I think it's hard to bring a certain focus to each one. Not saying that they don't know what they're doing, or either company knows what they're doing, but it's just like, I kind of want it to be more so quality over quantity. And so with Flashpoint, totally agree with Paul. When I saw that animated film, it kind of blew my mind, and it kind of just had me like, whoa, like I was quite disturbed, because I had never seen these variations of some of these characters before, like the whole thing with Martha Wayne, and it was a lot that went on. So there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of really interesting, twisted, dark places to really take that story. But as was said, I don't know who's in place now, or whatever the plan is now. I think we need to, kind of like what I said before, kind of figure out what this story means, what we're going to do with the story, like what are we going to do going forward, like have something in mind. It doesn't have to be like, this is what we're going to do 15 films from now, but figure something out so that we do this story justice. It would be the same thing if they decided to do a live action Mask of the Phantasm, because I know how I feel about that story. I've already expressed it. And I'm telling you, if anyone recalls what happened with The Last Airbender and the complete dragging that film got, and how M. Night Shyamalan just it was a bad situation. So they already, DC is already struggling, and Warner Brothers in the court of public opinion. So I think they need to think very carefully, because I don't think they want that kind of backlash. So consider that, and consider the plan, and please figure something out and just go forward from there.
If I could just jump off that as well, I don't think they've earned a Flashpoint movie yet either. The same way they didn't earn a Batman versus Superman movie, second movie in. They haven't earned a Flashpoint. They haven't got there yet. We haven't even seen a Flash movie yet.
Right.
That was because this was supposed to be just a Flash movie at some point, wasn't it? And then they've sort of changed it into a Flash. Yeah, it's.
But I think if anyone's to comment on Batman v Superman, it's Alex, because he's recently been covering the Zack Snyder movies. And I think probably out of all of us, I think it's fair to say I think he's the one who's seen it most recently. And I know you didn't have good follow, Alex, did you?
No, and I watched the Ultimate Edition, which everyone kept yelling at me about to make sure that I watched. They're like, watch the Ultimate Edition, it's way better. And I'm like, well, it is better, but that's like saying, oh, it's less poopy than the original. It's just longer. Yeah, it just didn't make sense. It made sense to me, but it was just too. I felt like most of the conflicts in that movie could have been solved with a conversation rather than a fight. All super and just the Martha scene. I remember when I saw it in the theaters, everyone started laughing. Like, are you serious? Their moms had the same name. There was so much about it. I did like Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I'm in the minority of that. I thought that was entertaining, but everything else, I was like, this is disgusting. I don't want none of this. They tried to humanize a sex trafficker at one point in the Ultimate Edition. I don't know what Zack Snyder's doing. After that movie, I was just like, nope. Anytime Zack Snyder puts out a movie, if it has DC on it, I'm gonna boycott it. I can't do this. He hurts my soul. He depressed me. I got sick after watching the movie. I had a migraine. I was so mad. It was just, I can't.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to take it back to that place on this stream. So we'll not. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting regardless. But I agree with what, just very quickly, I want to agree with what you guys have all said, but Paul was saying at the end there, like Marvel's had it where Iron Man got his own movie, Captain America, Thor, etc. I don't need to go on. But like then they had that ultimate event where they'll build it all up. But I feel like DC has been trying to play catch up all these years with Marvel, which I don't think they need to.
No.
And I think it clearly goes to show they did like a rated R movie with the Joker in America. It was rated R. I think here it's like 15, and it made $1 billion. So clearly goes to show that there's an audience for those darker tales to be told, and people's going to go out and see it. I think like Batman earned 700 million or 750 million, something along those lines. Still got its budget back and more. So it goes to show. So we have got more questions about the DC, but I want to go over some comments very quickly because we've got quite a few. So apologies to anyone who's left them and got to them yet. Jacob, I've seen this as well. Dave says that they've announced Joker 2 for 2024 with Lady Gaga in it. Yeah.
Say my buddy.
But I've also heard, now I don't know how true this is, but I'm assuming from the little teaser it's true, that they're going to go in a musical route with the Joker 2. I'm going to leave the floor to you guys. What's your thoughts on Joker 2 being a musical?
If they can give me a sort of live action spin on Mad Love, yeah, take my money all day. I think Gaga will knock it out of the park as Harley Quinn. If that is who she's playing, they haven't announced that's who she's playing. I'm going to assume so. Yeah, take my money all day for that. I'll be well in for that.
Right. So here's the theory I've got. When I heard this announcement tonight, especially when they officially announced Lady Gaga had been casted in this teaser, is if they're going to make it a musical, I would personally like. So I don't know what Mad Love is, Paul. So pardon me for that one. But what I would personally like to see, and let me get, and you know if you guys agree, is in the movie, of course, the end of the Joker. If no one's seen it, spoilers. Of course, the whole Gotham's in chaos. You know, the Joker's finally got a following around him. He's finally been noticed after all the trial and tribulations he went through in the first movie. I think it'd be really cool if the city is still like that. Maybe you get a little bit about the teenage or kid Batman. Not loads, but a little bit to show, like, okay, well, his parents have died. Like, how he's kind of progressing through that. Because I would like to see, like, delve really dark into maybe his backstory a little bit. But I think what would be quite cool is while this is all going on in this chaos, maybe the Joker goes into, I don't know, some kind of musical club or whatever Lady Gaga is going to be singing, because I don't doubt she's not going to be singing in this movie. And when he goes there, he maybe finds some peace when he's there, because he's hearing her and he's getting like kind of enticed by maybe her beauty and her voice, etc. And maybe she's kind of like the beckoning in his mind, kind of like calming him down while this chaos is all going on. So I would maybe like to see the musical scenes where he goes to see her a couple of times, but every time he sees her, she's singing a song, because that would make more sense to have it as a musical. But yeah, I'm going to leave it open to you guys. Do you guys agree, or do you guys would like to see something different?
I think. Sorry, go on. You go. I've spoken off. Go on.
I was really not sure when I first heard about this. I was like, Joker as a musical? Are you sure? But it is starting to grow on me. I think it is the addition of Lady Gaga and knowing that she can sing really well. And she does kind of actually naturally look like Harley Quinn. So with a bit of extra cosmetics, I think she's going to look excellent and she's going to knock it out the park. I think she could actually give Margot Robbie some real competition for the role. I don't know how they're going to do it, though. That's what I'm confused about. It could well be as like how you said it, Mike, but I'm sort of leaning towards the idea that the musical is going to be going on in their head. It's going to be like they're mad enough to believe that they're the main character of their own story. So when they're heartbroken, they'll sort of maybe perform a Singing in the Rain routine and feel sorry for themselves. I think they're probably going to go that road. And that piques my interest quite a bit. I'd like to see how that goes. I wasn't crazy about Joker. I thought it was good, but I wish it was a bit deeper and a bit more focused on what specific subject it wanted to go into. But this, I think, could have the potential to offer that. What I didn't get from the first one, I think I might get from this one. So the idea is definitely growing on me, that's for sure.
I think what you've just said, that's what I think exactly what the film will be. I think it'll all be psychologically in their heads, and they'll dive into their heads, and then the music will be just, I think that's the direction it'll go. I think that's what they're going to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, when this was announced, I just couldn't believe it at first. I'm like, a musical? Really? That's weird. But then I'm like, that's the Joker. The Joker is very weird, and this is definitely new. Like, people, you know, always saying like, oh, we need something new to the superhero genre. I'm like, a musical. I'm like, okay, I'm down for it. I have a weird relationship with musicals. Like, I feel like anytime they come out, I'm just like, I don't want to see that. But then as soon as I do watch it, I immediately buy the soundtrack afterwards. So I think I have a hidden love of musicals. It just hasn't fully come out yet. So I'm just gonna have the wallet ready when I see this movie. It's like, okay, you can have, where's the soundtrack? Just give it to me. But I'm excited. I do hope they keep. I kind of want them to like keep changing the genre, like with each. If for some reason they do another Joker movie after this, I would like for them, like in the background, like in this movie, talk more about a teenage Bruce Wayne, like see what he's going through, and then maybe in the next Joker movie, they can make it a horror film where he's like a fully grown Batman, but now you have a movie where Batman is the antagonist, and it's from the point of view of the criminals. So you see how terrifying Batman is. I think that would be a really cool take if they go this direction. If this is successful, maybe the musical will be so popular they're just like, oh, forget it. The rest of the Joker movies will be musicals too, and I'd probably be down for that too.
Well, I know they've announced well, I don't know if it's officially announced, but I think Joaquin thinks to sign on for 2 more movies.
Oh.
So it could be very well, yeah. D, what's your thoughts on this about being a possible musical?
Yeah, so I was gonna say, like, I think and maybe it's not the same for everyone, but my musical appreciation was more so limited to childhood animated films, Barney, Sesame Street, all of that, and maybe films like, you know, Mary Poppins, Sound of Music. So when I got older, and then we got into like the live action musical adaptations, like, you know, Chicago, Moulin Rouge, I wasn't quite at an age where I could appreciate that. It all felt like, okay, we're just singing, we're just singing, we're just singing. And then at some point, I've kind of referenced this also. Chicago was kind of the film that I revisited a couple of times, and it changed how I perceived the medium. Because if anyone has seen Chicago, Roxy, who's the main character in that film, we see all these, you know, choreographed singing numbers. But what's interesting about it is when I realized that the character has dreams of stardom in vaudeville. So you have these scenes where, you know, she's in jail or she's in court, and she's, you know, it's kind of this very gray, sad reality. Then all of a sudden we flip, and it's like, you know, razzle dazzle them, and we see glitter and we see sparkle, and it's kind of like this whole system is like, you know, a grand stage, and everyone's just performing. Once I got that, then it made me appreciate the medium in a different way. It's like, oh, this is like a different way of kind of telling the story. And when I thought about this second Joker coming up, I thought about American Horror Story Asylum. There's this very memorable scene where Jessica Lange's character, she's stuck in the asylum, and all of a sudden she has this moment where everything, of course, is gray and creepy, and then all of a sudden everything is bright and sunny. She's wearing this bright blue dress, her hair is done, and they're singing the name game, and like, you know, banana, and it's like, and it's kind of like indicative of where her mind is kind of corroding as she's stuck in this place. So I think if kind of keeping with that, like if they kind of really dig into the kind of the psychological edge and kind of the quirkiness and the potential comedy of that, like I could totally see them doing a Singing in the Rain situation where blood is just raining down as they're like singing. And then I think that I would really, I would really like to. I would just like to. I would say that depending on the interpretation of musical, it's not always necessarily musical numbers and choreography. Although I think they might try to lean that way. You have musicals that are just simply people singing, or they're just people just happen to be like, "What's love got to do with it?" It's about Tina Turner, but that's a musical because like there's music throughout, but it's not necessarily like we burst out into song. So there could be a different take on kind of them subverting what a typical musical is too.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be interesting, like the route to go with it, and like all you guys have said, like I think we're all in like quite excited for it and quite anticipate what they're going to do. And I think we've all said they've never done a superhero movie yet based on some form of musical. So I think like DC have that edge as such, because Marvel will be like, oh, well, we haven't got this right now. I mean, I know they've referenced like the Steve Rogers musical in like Hawkeye and stuff, but don't really say anything like that. So yeah, I've got quite a few more comments, especially about this whole situation. GSX Short says Batgirl getting cancelled made his day. Well, okay. But it says, I'm sick to death of seeing so many superhero movies now. They took away the anticipation and excitement going forward. So yeah, I think we've all got like a bit fatigued. Like that comment.
I haven't. I've not got fatigue at all.
No,
Same.
really?
Same.
Oh,
Not with Marvel, not at all. No. I'll watch Marvel content till the day I die because it's stuff I didn't get 20 years ago.
Yeah, I'm on that same boat. Like, you know, I get it. I get it. If people can get exhausted by it, it is a lot, I will admit. But for me, it's just all day, every day, easy. It's like drinking water for me.
For me, like people have said, like, oh, they're bringing out like 3 films a year. I'm like, that's 6 hours out of 365 days. That's not a lot of time you have to commit to watching them. And if you don't want to watch them, guess you don't have to. They're not forcing you to watch them. Marvel didn't come out and say, right, you need to watch this Miss Marvel show. You need to watch this Moon Knight show. You need to go to the cinema to watch Thor. That's your choice. There's that much content and superhero content out there now. And I've said this on a video. We're quite passionate about it. Yeah. They're not forcing you to watch it. No one is forcing you to watch it. But people are like, oh, I've got Marvel fatigue. I'm sick of superhero films. Get off superhero films and go and watch a different genre. Go and watch some thrillers or some horror movies. Or I don't get this. I've spoke to different people about it on different channels, in different groups about this Marvel fatigue thing. I don't understand when people say it. Because for me, if you've got fatigue or something, stop watching it. I do believe it's that black and white for me. Like, I used to like Doctor Who. I used to really like Doctor Who, and then they shifted gears, they shifted writers, wasn't working for me. Guess what? I stopped watching it. I didn't get Doctor Who fatigue. I just moved on.
Yeah, no, dude, it's Ben. You know, I love your passion for it. I think like going back to something that Elliot said earlier, but I probably agree with him. I think it's more the fact for myself is like they're releasing so much stuff to the point where before they did the TV shows, right, we had maybe 3 movies a year. You're right, Paul, but that's all we had. So it's like it gave us time to look forward to Infinity War, give us time to look forward to Endgame or Spider-Man No Way Home, etc. I would just personally like to see more of that. So it's not so like boom, boom, boom. Because like for example, like Miss Marvel's just finished now, She-Hulk starting. Like I haven't seen Miss Marvel yet, so I'm behind on it all. And yeah, just be people like me that could like binge watch it all in a couple of days or a week or so. I think it's just for me. I'd just like to see it more spaced out as such. But yeah. I mean, do you guys have any comments on that? Like D?
I was gonna say for me, I know as far as how Paul has expressed, I've learned what works for me and what doesn't as far as Marvel. So I kind of have had to space things out. I actually was just talking to Elliot about I'm not a huge binger like a lot of people are. I kind of have to. It's like I binge for maybe 2 or 3, and then I kind of have to space. You know, I have to like space things out anyway. So when I realized kind of the abundance of everything, I realized I really can't keep up. And WandaVision has kind of been my main one. And I think to use that as an example, I think the only issue would come is if and maybe that's intentional. But in the case of like WandaVision and then Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, where you have people who kind of come in and or don't have or can't afford or don't have not interested in the Disney Plus, and then they go into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It's like, wait, what's going on here? And like, oh, you had to have watched all these episodes of WandaVision, and it's like, well, I think that then creates an issue where people then it's kind of pushing people into a place where they have to watch certain things to keep up. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily true of every single show that they've done, but that's something I kind of worry about personally. If they'll now create this this kind of space where like these things are so interlinked that you can't necessarily appreciate one side of it without the other. And then I would just say when it comes to, it's weird because the thing for me is like I'm never mad at I don't need an excuse to go to the theater, even though these films do give me an excuse to go. So in general, like I'm fine going, but I kind of know my limitations at the same time. I don't know if I answered the question, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, and like just to give an example to that, very quickly, is when I went to see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, I went with my nephew first time round, and he hadn't seen WandaVision at all. So last time he saw Wanda was from like Endgame. So when he went into it, he's like, "Oh, so Wanda has a kid now." I was like, "Yeah, you know what happened in WandaVision?" He's like, "Well, I've not seen it." So like he, you know, I remember walking out and he said, "Yeah, I really enjoyed that," but he's like, "I hadn't seen WandaVision though." So you know, there's going to be people like that because, you know, Doctor Strange, it looked awesome. People like Doctor Strange, so they're like, oh, I'll go see the movie. But yeah, I guess like future events could possibly impact that for sure. Yeah, I think it's a tough one to call really, especially with Marvel and DC.
For me, I felt like Doctor Strange give you enough information where if you haven't seen WandaVision, you can sort of quickly go, because comic books do that as well. Like you can buy a comic book and something have happened in a different story and it'll give you a few sentences or a few lines of like, right, this is what's happened. So if you want to know what's happened here, then you can go back and you can catch up on all this stuff if you want to. But we're going to tell you sort of in a few sentences, a few scenes, what has happened. We have the scene with Doctor Strange and WandaVision when they're in the back garden or field. That conversation there pretty much tells you what you needed to know about her character and where she was. And to be fair, that's not coming from me. That's coming from someone I know who hadn't seen it as well. When they went in and watched it, like, I sort of got the gist of what was going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's interesting to have like those takes of us who maybe have seen all the Marvel stuff, and then there's people who's maybe seen just the movies and not the shows. So yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of comments about it as well, so I'm going to read them out. We'll talk about it a little bit more. Well, firstly, we've got Josh from Classic Reviews saying, "Hey fellas, how are we?" Also, hey Josh. And yeah, I didn't hear. Apparently, I found out today for a business inside of that Batgirl got cancelled for tax reasons. Okay, I don't know if that's how true that is, or if that is true, etc. But for tax reasons, I mean, I'm a bit confused by that.
I'm sure in the next couple of days we'll hear a sort of a story as to why it was actually cancelled.
Well, I heard today when I was watching Zeke's YouTube channel, because he was speaking passionately about Batgirl being cancelled because he really relates with Barbara Gordon and stuff as well. He was saying apparently today, the new CEO, head honcho at Warner Brothers, is doing a conference. So I'm assuming they're going to address it in that conference about why it's being cancelled. I mean, it's going to be interesting. We've got Jacob here saying, what also doesn't help is that Warner Brothers keep going through different management changes and mergers. AT&T bought the company in 2017. Now it's Discovery. Yeah, I've heard about this Discovery merger. Yeah. Yeah. So does that mean that Warner Brothers and Discovery are going to have their own like is Discovery going to be shown on like HBO Max now in America, like with a side access to it, or who knows?
Who knows? No one knows.
Yeah, it's almost like what I've heard is almost like, and it's not a lot, it's too soon to really say, but it's almost like it's going to be some kind of hybrid app situation where it's like they have access to both, but then one, it's like HBO will have access to one part of it, and then Discovery will have access to another part of it, which it doesn't make sense to me, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I did see on Twitter somebody put HBO Max, more like HBO Min. I just sat looking at my phone, chuckling to myself. I was like, that's pretty funny.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. And I know I heard a report today that HBO Max is going to go through a big, massive restructure as well. So who knows if they're going to have like exclusive movies on their platform anymore, or instead of going to like the theaters.
Right.
I don't know. We've got Lockdown Stash saying, in all honesty, I see superhero comic films as action films that simply contain characters that we're familiar with. For example, back in the day, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Stallone were seen as actual heroes. So a question for the masses, do you ever get bored of those guys? Elliot?
I mean, there's certain classics, aren't there? I mean, for example, Predator, the original, it's not a perfect movie, but it is a perfect movie at the same time. You can pull many holes out of it, but my God, can you just chuck it on at any time and have a great time with it? So, yeah, I do kind of get the argument, but I still kind of see a separation between the two. I think films like Predator, Alien, they have a little bit more freedom to be darker, grislier, go in different directions. Whereas the superhero franchise, it is very formulaic. It has to be like this, the hero saves the day. And generally speaking, the baddie will only win if there's a part 2 where he loses eventually. So I think it's a good point that I hadn't really seen before, but I don't know if I entirely agree.
Yeah, I think there's like personally, I agree. I think there's like a big separation between, well, firstly, there's a big separation to a superhero and like Rocky Balboa or Rambo. Yeah. I mean, I know as the Rambo movies goes on, he might as well be in like Mortal Kombat, especially like the 5th movie with the heart sequence. Yeah, I mean, Paul, Alex, Dee, do you guys have any other thoughts on this?
I mean, I think what he's trying to say is like when we were younger, like actors like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Stallone, all these larger than life characters in these movies were sort of like we looked up to them, like these were our heroes before we had superhero movies. So they were sort of our comic book sort of movies like Commando and them sort of films. And what he's saying is, well, do people still get bored? He's basically saying like superheroes now, comic book movies are essentially our modern day action movies, you know, or some blockbuster action movies. And he's basically saying, well, do you get bored of action movies? Because that's essentially what comic book movies now are. Well, I don't get bored of comic book movies. Like I said, the comic book movies, I've grew up reading comics since I was a kid. I didn't get these sort of movies growing up as a kid, so I feel blessed I'm seeing these characters on the big screen. And like I said, and I can't see myself getting bored of it anytime soon. I really can't. Every time something new comes out, comic related, I'll be there day one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting, Paul, because as you said, you've read the comics since we're younger. I don't know about you guys, but I've never read any of the comics, so I just take like the film and TV adaptations for like what they are. Alex, what about you?
Yeah, this is a really interesting take, but it makes a lot of sense to me because you know, definitely we started seeing people like Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans, like they're the action heroes now. Like, oh, we got Chris Pratt, we got what's Mark Ruffalo, you know, we got all these guys. Like we were able to name off Arnold Schwarzenegger, Stallone, like back in the day. Yeah, that's a cool take. I also have a soft spot for old action movies, so I never got bored of those either. Like especially Arnold Schwarzenegger, I loved any movie he was in, mainly for his puns that he always sneak in there. That was the best part. But yeah, I think I agree with this. Yeah, they are formulaic. I would say a bit like action movies were formulaic in a way too, but the superhero movies a bit more. So, but yeah, I'd agree. They're modern day action movies. I would say that.
Yeah, it's an interesting take. I've never had seen anything like interpreted as this. Dee, what about you?
I was going to say, I think there are always, and it's hard to say specifically how, but I think there are always kind of these phases throughout Hollywood and throughout the years where it seems like certain films dominate the industry. Because I know it was like that with Westerns at one point, and then it was, blaxploitation at one point. It was those kind of films. So I think we're always going to have moments where like certain films just kind of like, they bring in the money. That's what people want to see. And so we're always going to get more of that from that standpoint. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not mad at it. And I know kind of like, when I'm interested in seeing it, when I'm not. The issue with the 90s action is because I was too young and I didn't grow up on that specifically, even though I remember like when they were out. So it'd be interesting to see like how it would feel like if I was my age now watching those. But I think a lot of it just comes down to how Hollywood moves and just kind of what dominates and what brings in money. And I think it's just a matter of how much of it you're willing to consume, kind of like what Paul said, like how much you're willing to kind of consume and enjoy and pay money to see, and what you're not.
Right. Yeah, I think at the moment, I think you bring up a really good point. At the moment, we are really superhero focused, dominant, whether it's in Hollywood or like TV shows like The Boys, for example. That's another one that's focused on heroes. It's an awesome show, don't get me wrong, but it's focused on the same kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, thank you for the kind of question there, Lockdown Stash. It was awesome.
Just to add to what Paul was saying as well, that about the whether you get tired of it, he's totally right. It is the consumption of it. I was just thinking back to when I think it was last Halloween, where I decided I was going to do a month of horror and we're going to review loads of horror movies. And after the 7th horror movie, I was just so tired of it. There's only so many slasher movies you can watch. It's he's behind you, or don't go down there by yourself, and it really does get repetitive. So it's right. It isn't just superhero fatigue. It's just a matter of consumption fatigue, I suppose, really. To just add whatever genre it is that you're getting too much of. And if you are getting too much of it, just take a break.
Right. Yeah. No, man, I think that's been a good point. I think it's quite cool that you did the 30 Days of Horror, though. That's pretty awesome. Well, we've got Retro Girl saying, hey, lads, hope you don't mind me popping by. So, hey, Retro Girls, hope you're doing good. Thank you for tuning in. And I think Lockdown Stash was trying to add to this. He was saying, if people try to switch it up and say, nah, it's a completely different scenario, that's a load of trash. Yeah, okay. I'm not really too sure. I'm assuming it's relating to what we were talking about before. But yeah, well, thank you, Lockdown Stash, for the question initially. Lego News, to switch it up a little bit from superheroes, says, I watched Lightyear last night and I was disappointed.
Same. I love the Toy Story films, but Lightyear for me, it felt like a movie made for kids. It felt like a movie made for like 5-year-olds. Whereas Pixar are quite good at balancing it out, where if you're an adult watching it, there's enough there for you as an adult to enjoy. Lightyear, I think, missed the mark for that. For me personally, I remember walking out of cinema a bit. I forgot about it by the time I got home. I was really disappointed by it. It really was.
I liked the first half of the movie. The first half of Lightyear, if I can spoil it a little bit, I thought was like typical Pixar, because I was starting to get in my feelings when it was like he kept going up in space, and every time he come back a few years past, I was like, okay, all right, the tears are building up, I'm getting ready. But then the second half started and just kind of just like you said, it just felt like a kid movie. And they had that big Zurg reveal. I was really excited to see Zurg, and then they revealed Zurg to be just an older Buzz, and I'm like, that's boring. I left the theater just like, it wasn't bad. It was just kind of there. It was like, this is there. Like, kids will like it, but it did hurt my feelings. This is how disappointed I was.
Well, Ryan's no, it's fine. Ryan's saying the twist was terrible. So I'm just saying about that. So yeah, so like with Lightyear, like I enjoyed the movie. I can completely get where you're coming from, though. Like, the first half was great in terms of like keep going up, making the mistakes, and realizing eventually he's making a mistake. I really like that element of it. I think one thing that lets it down is the twist, but then also some of the side characters we didn't need, or like that Taika Waititi side character just got my last nerves.
Yeah, same.
Like, it just wasn't funny. They were trying to play it off as too much of a joke. I would rather they had it was Lightyear and the captain lady's, was it a daughter or granddaughter or something like that?
Yeah.
Like just them two, or even the old woman who was like the escaped convict or the criminal convict or whatever. Like just those three would have been great enough, and just a bit, because they would have had more time for character development. But I just felt like they're trying to throw too much characters in, and then, as you said, like the twist at the end, I think let it down. But I still enjoyed it. I would revisit it again personally. But yeah, Elliot, what about you?
I completely agree with Alex. I thought it started terrifically, and it was hitting me in the gut with the whole trying to achieve the mission and how much time he's missing, and it was getting to me. And then at some point, it just turned into a pum kids shootout sort of movie with no logic to it. It was just asking you to go along with way too many things that don't make any sense whatsoever. The humor got childish as well with the Taika Waititi pencil character. It was a bit much. So, and I think as well, what doesn't help it is they've been such a high standard with their Toy Story movies that feels like gold. This feels like bronze or silver, and it's quite noticeable when you compare the two. If you hadn't seen any of the Toy Story movies, maybe you would have liked it a bit more. I'm not sure.
Right. Well, very quickly, because I want to head over to D. Jacob's added in here. He said, I thought like it was enjoyable. It feels more like a safe cash grab, but at the same time, if I was 8 or 10 years old when the film came out, I would have loved it. Yeah. So D, what's your thoughts? Have you seen Light yet?
No, because I thought it looked whack from the beginning, honestly. I'm
Smart
sorry.
man here.
Yeah, when I saw the trailers, it's like, it looks beautifully animated, right? But and I like the concept of it and the idea of it. I was like, oh, this makes sense. But every time it would come on, I was like, that's just what it would. I wouldn't feel anything, and I just didn't know. It's like the idea versus what I thought of, like the initial footage and everything. It didn't do anything for me, but it was the same thing with The Lion King. Everyone wanted the CGI live action version of Lion King, and I remember thinking, like, I feel like everyone wants this, but when this comes out, it's not going to be what everyone thinks it's going to be. And then we got the trailer, and I was like, oh no! And then we got down to it. I literally had the opportunity to go see it for free, and I was just like, I really don't want to invest the time and the gas to go and see this. And most people dragged it. And it sounds like Lightyear. I don't think Lightyear got the same reception that Lion King did, but it just seems like it was such a meh experience. And I think for a series that's like has been kind of gold star, top tier with a lot of these films, it's just like, yeah, I couldn't take the time.
Yeah, I think one thing that holds Lightyear back, what we've all kind of said, is I don't know if any of you guys watched the documentary on Disney Plus. I think is it Beyond Lightyear or To Infinity, something like that. Did any of you guys see that?
No, it sounds interesting.
Oh, okay. So it was like half an hour, I think, documentary, and it was about the guy who directed Angus MacLane, and he is the original animator from Toy Story 2, and he's done a lot of Pixar ones, and then this is his first ever feature. And it was going like really in detail about like how he's really specific on the animation designs and touching up every little last bit of detail. And I kind of think sometimes like the more focus was on the animation than the story. And I think that's kind of more like the perspective of what the documentary kind of portrayed. But yeah, D, if you ever do see like, yeah, I would love to know your thoughts.
I was gonna say they had a Buzz Lightyear, a Star Command animated series back in the day, and something tells it's been a while since I've seen it, but it tells me that if I watch that, I might have more fun with that than the new film. But we'll see.
Right. Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts again if you ever get a chance to check it out, or if you ever want to. I mean, that's probably the best way. But going back to the superhero very quickly, Lego News says Warner Brothers are just idiots at this point. Hey, fair. I think we've all kind of agreed. He says, hell, someone that worked on the Man of Steel while pitching the movie in the whole baby pod, Superman came and getting destroyed. Some moron asked, how does Superman get back to his planet? Good point. Okay, we've got a different kind of question here. This is from Ryan from RWR Movie Reviews, and he says, would you rather be thrown into an island with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or thrown into the island with the cast of the Hunger Games?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, absolutely.
Yeah, the Turtles.
Same here.
Are the casts of the Hunger Games friendly?
That's what I was thinking. Like, are the turtles trying to kill me, or can I just get back and eat pizza with them?
Also, which turtles? Are we talking like the 1990s Ninja Turtles? Are we talking the animated Ninja Turtle? Are we talking the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles? Definitely don't want to hang out with them.
No.
Probably the 1990s Ninja Turtles. I would hang out with them. They seem really chill.
If I woke up on an island and the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles were staring at me, I was scared me to death.
Paul probably just take himself into the water and go as far as he can.
Do they come with pizza as well, or do we have to starve and eat like pineapples and coconuts?
Exactly.
Good point.
Right.
They wouldn't help you hunt because they don't eat meat, do they? I mean, I guess pepperoni pizza, but otherwise. And
Raphael is going to drag his feet. You know he's going to be hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah. A comment on about the Warner Brothers here. The CGI mustache.
I actually have a picture of the CGI mustache. Like I have a picture of it zoomed in on Superman's face. And every once in a while, when I feel like it, I'll just send that picture to my mom because it creeps her out. Just like, I haven't heard from my mom in a while, and just there you go. And she'll just be like, "What the hell is this? Why are you sending me?" Who is that man?
I remember seeing like loads of early reviews of Justice League, and everyone rightly so mentioned that, like, oh, this CGI mustache and all that. I was like, how bad can it be? And it's literally the second the film started, boom, right there. Don't be like, whoa, there it is.
That was one of the dumbest decisions. I mean, I know he was filming Mission Impossible at the same time, but yeah. Jacob says, I would have been on board with Whedon's vision of Cavill if didn't have distracting CGI upper lip. Yeah, that was terrible.
They should have just let Superman have the mustache. I like, they already changed so much about him. Like, just give him a mustache. Like, it's fine. That's edgy.
Right. I mean, what difference would it have made if he had a mustache? It's about the character, not the stash. But
I'm pretty sure there's versions of him in the comics where he's got stubble and quite a grey beard at times. So yeah. I don't see what the problem was.
I don't know. We've got John Smith saying ahoy all. You may all cheat at me. Well, hi John, hope you're doing good. Hey, thank you for tuning in. We've also got Adam from What the Gym saying, hey guys, how's it going? So hey
Adam.
Doing good.
Yeah, man.
All right, okay, so we've got a good question here. We've got Ryan saying, what is the last movie that you watched that inspired you or spoke to you and gave you the feels? Wow, that's a good question. I don't know if one of you guys want to go first while I have a quick think.
Yeah, I've got one because I've been working on it very recently. It would have to be Whiplash. I talk about this movie at every opportunity I get because I just worship it. I love it. I think it's a masterpiece. And I have, for the past week, been working on a video essay of it. It's my very first video essay. And I very quickly learned that video essays are really hard to do. So it's taken a lot longer than I thought. I don't actually have a release date yet. It's just a matter of when it's ready, it will be ready. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But yes, Whiplash, it gets me every single time. That ending is perfection.
Yeah, that's a fantastic choice. I recently watched that. I think I mentioned this to Elliot, but I showed my partner Emirates for the first ever time, and she was like, "Wow, I did not expect it to be that good."
Yeah, so, that's fantastic.
Yeah, utterly fantastic movie. I've actually got one, and I actually posted this on Instagram as well. I recently watched Homeward Bound, and and yeah, if you saw that video, you saw me cry. That is John. I'm gonna hold my hands up. Wow, yeah. I mean, I think it doesn't help that in the last kind of 2 years, like I had 2 dogs and they both passed away. So I was dreading when it came to the Michael J. Fox filmography, watching Homeward Bound, and yeah, I bawled my eyes out at the end of it. wasn't good. But yeah, what about you guys?
Probably the last movie that hit me in the feels was Top Gun Maverick. That film for me, start to finish, was incredible. I'm a big fan of the original as well, so that helped as well for the sequel that they got it so right. And it wasn't hitting me in the feels till literally like the last scene. I don't really want to spoil it, but there's a bro hug right at the end where there's 2 characters sort of rectify their past and hug it out. And I was in the cinema like, oh. And then Gaga's song hits, the song she written for it, which is a beautiful song. And I was just like, oh, get me out of this cinema.
And they show the two pictures at the end too.
Say again.
And then they show the two pictures at the end.
Yes, that's yes.
The picture, yeah, I thought that was perfect.
Yeah, such an awesome movie. I mean, that's a different subject, but I'd probably say this Maverick's better than the original one, but that might just be me. D, what was the last movie to hit you in the feels?
There's actually been a lot this year. Surprisingly, a lot more. So, not that last year was a bad year, but a lot of these films have really just been hitting me in surprising places. One, I would say one I kind of expected, but it still hit me more than I expected. And there's one that I didn't expect it at all. So the one that I didn't expect it was You Won't Be Alone. It's the horror film. I believe it's available on Peacock. I'm not sure what it would be available on overseas, but You Won't Be Alone is kind of subverts the typical kind of story of witches, and what you see is like the experience and the journey of a witch. It deals with a young girl, who basically gets kind of stolen away from her mother, so to speak, and she is transformed into a witch, basically, and by another witch. And there's something very somber and very sad and very tragic about it. We see all kinds of stories and films and TV shows about witches, but this was so, I don't know, there was something so meaningful about it. It's like when you are born, it kind of reminds me, if anyone has seen Interview with the Vampire, one thing that stands out about that film is Claudia. Kirsten Dunst as Claudia. And at the older I get, the more that performance stands out, because it's like, what do you do when, as a child, there are certain experiences you have, there's a certain sense of innocence and humanity and just hope that you have, and idealism that you have as a child. But then you are basically born as this thing. She even says at one point, like, tell me how it is that I am this thing. I had a mother once. I had a life. And then now I'm this, this thing that lacks humanity, that kills and murders people and can't venture out into the sun. And so with You Won't Be Alone, it's like there are elements of that. And it's about how this character then understands the world, because she also can change into other forms of herself. So then experiencing this part of life, and then as this person. And when we get to the end, there's a very interesting perspective as far as, do you choose to continue down this kind of disturbing, frightening path that you've been placed on, or do you choose to kind of break that cycle and choose something different than what you've been? So kind of looking at it from that perspective, I was like, whoa, it really kind of caught me off guard. And then the only other one would be Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. It's just a story about a woman who's like a kind of like a maid, so to speak, and she has a dream to she sees in her the person she works for, she has this couture dress in like her armoire, her closet, and she just says like, hey, I want to go to Paris and purchase one of these. And it's a very simple, very straightforward story. But what was very touching about it, because I mean, I love the fact that it was in Paris. I love period pieces. I love costume design, and it's a very feel-good film. And I think we sometimes forget how much we need that. Like, I love stuff that's dark and edgy, but sometimes you need to feel like kind of a sense of hope and idealism. And it just kind of showed me, like, regardless of what you feel about yourself, or feeling like you in a place in life where you're kind of at the end of the road, there are circumstances in life where you can impact other people. And then by you impacting other people, those same people can, kind of change your life also. And you kind of can come back from a journey that's very simple and come back a changed person and have a whole new outlook on life. So those would definitely be one too.
Oh, yeah, there's some fantastic choices. I've never heard of You Won't Be Alone. And Ryan here in the comments saying You Won't Be Alone is a very, very good choice.
Yeah, that's getting on my watch list straight away, that.
Yeah, same. I know that Mrs. Harris in Paris, I know that we're getting that in the UK, I think around September, October time.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I'm excited for both of them. I know Ryan reviewed the Miss Harris in Paris, and I think he really enjoyed that also. So yeah, D, that's some really good picks. Alex, what about yourself?
Oh man, I've been in my feels a lot this year, and last year too. But one that just really came to mind, just because I'm a comic book geek, was the Batman. I remember, especially at the end, I was like weeping, like when he was like leading the people out of the flood, and when he's carrying that woman and putting her on the helicopter thing, and like she doesn't let go of him, so he just holds her hand, and like I was just bawling tears, because it was like I'd never seen Batman like that in a live action movie before, like, but because everyone's so fixated on him being the symbol of fear and vengeance, but they forget that he's also a symbol of hope. Like he's supposed to inspire people to be better in his own way, but just seeing that scene, he's just holding on to her, letting her know it's going to be okay. It's like I love things like that, when people who have this great power, whatever it is, and they use it to help others. Like that's inspiring. That's what I want out of the world, and to like just see that on the screen from a character that is normally portrayed as just being nothing but violent was really touching for me. It's just like I weep every time I see it. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, because in, say, Batman, for example, the whole movie's about him and his dark feelings he's feeling. He's got no human connection. He's mad at Alfred when Alfred's in the hospital, even, like, until like kind of the end of that interaction. And yeah, like that end bit where the woman grabs him. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited to see how they're going to explore that going forward also.
Another film that come to my head where you guys were talking was it come out at the beginning of the year, The Fallout with Jenny Ortega.
Oh yeah.
Which is basically Jenny Ortega puts in a powerful performance in this movie. It's basically a school shooting, and the film is the fallout of. So there's a school shooting right at the start, and the rest of the film's just how the characters deal with it. By the end of that film, geez, I've gone for about 2 boxes of Kleenex, man.
Wow.
Hard, rough film to watch.
I never heard of it, but I know like Jenny Ortega's had a great year for movies.
Yes.
She's been so much this year. Definitely like a rising actress. And dude, I'm gonna add The Fallout to my watch list. I've not even heard of it.
Yeah, I don't think it had a UK release. I think.
Oh, okay.
I think it was on HBO Max in America. I think.
Right.
But it hasn't had a UK release yet, I don't think. So I had to sail the 7 seas for it.
No, dude, I'm going to check it out. I didn't even know about it. We've also got the living legend Anthony A. Perez in the house. So, hey, Anthony, what's going on? Saying, how's the lineup? Felt great to let the ads play out before the stream loaded up. Well, thanks, dude. I really, really appreciate it. But Anthony, yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, man. It's great to have you here. So we've got some more questions as well, but thank you, Ryan, for that previous question. That was awesome. We've got Sarah from Popcorn Chat. So, hey, Sarah, how are you? Thank you for tuning in. She says, I was just curious as to what character in the film do you guys feel most connected to? Literally, he's me kind of character.
Ooh.
Wow, that's a good question.
Very good.
Tough.
Right.
Tough.
I don't know. For me personally, I don't know if I have like a specific person. There might be like a couple of characters where I'd be like, oh, like this person has this trait, or this person has like this kind of trait, kind of thing. So I'm going to throw it over to you guys if anyone's got one top of their head, because I'm not too sure.
Oh, I'd need a minute to think. Nothing's coming to mind at the minute.
Okay, I think so. The first thing that comes to mind, this is kind of an aspect of the character, but
okay.
One of my favorite old school Hollywood films, and there are so many I enjoy, is All About Eve with Betty Davis, and there's a scene in that film where their car runs out of gas. They're sitting on the roadside. It's cold. It's freezing outside, and so her and her friend, they're bundled up in these furs. And so they just kind of come off of, them having this huge argument. And then over the weekend, they've kind of thawed out. Everything's kind of still, kind of in place. And so they're not really saying anything to each other. And so the other one asks her to turn on the radio, and she turns it on. And so they're both just sitting there. And all of a sudden, this really sad violin music starting, you know, and the music is just playing. And so Margot, which is Betty Davis' character, she's like looking around as the music is, I mean, it's really sad, overly sentimental, weepy music. She's like just kind of looking around like, okay. And so and she looks over, she's like, did you still want the radio on? She was like, oh, I don't mind. And so she looks over at the radio and like and cuts it off. And then she sits there and she's like, I despise cheap sentiment. And then she just sits there and stares. And that is like one of my favorite film quotes, mainly because it describes me.
Right.
I do not like anything that is cheap or sappy or syrupy, and there's kind of a line, because I like things that have like emotional impact and emotional depth. I say that all the time, but there are some films where they're trying to do that and it just does not come off well. I'll say this before, because I ended up liking it after the fact, but when I saw the trailers for The Greatest Showman, I was like, yeah, because I did not want to see that film, because it literally, the music and the characters, you know, doing like this, and just in my head, I could hear someone saying, it's the feel-good movie of the holiday season. And I was like, oh, like, I don't like it.
Right.
This is not for me. And then, of course, you know, I ended up being wrong, but the marketing for me, it just made it look like it was going to be this really sappy, corny, goofy kind of story with all the music and the characters. And that's something that I don't always care for. So I would say, as far as that character, I relate to her and how she sees life in a lot of ways.
That's awesome. That cracked me up. But no, dude, that's a great example. I've actually got one. So I was a little thing now. I guess like mannerisms in a sense, especially when I was younger. George McFly. So I was thinking about it, and especially being younger and the teacher, not saying that I'm fully confident now I could do this, but you know, I'd always be embarrassed to go up to a girl that I liked, or try talk to a girl, or I'd try maybe like look up, be like, oh, like the cool kid, like they can go up to that girl straight away, no problem at all. Like Marty McFly, he could, but like I'd be the one who like be like running off the other way, you know, like that would be me. So yeah, like a George McFly for me. What about you guys?
Keep your damn hands off her.
Although I wouldn't be saying that, I'd just be stumbling.
I mean, I was having a think when you guys are talking. I don't think I could narrow it down to one character, but I like it when there's characters in movies that are movie fans. Christian Slater's character from True Romance is one that comes to my head. But there's Kevin Smith has a lot of his characters that are movie fans within the films, and they have dialogue like we're doing here, just talking in the film about movies. I'm like, oh, that's what I do. So anytime there's a character in film that is a film fan, I always gravitate towards them, because that's me.
That's awesome. I've never seen True Romance.
Put it on your list.
Film. I've been thinking a couple have gone through my head. Personality-wise, it's hard to pin down. I've always said that Nick Offerman's character from Parks and Recreation, Ron, he is my spirit animal. I love that guy. The things he comes out with, I just find myself worshipping him. Like, you are a genius, my friend. I love you. But more personality-wise, I can see myself a bit in Star-Lord. Not entirely. I'm not quite as goofy as him, but when he's singing along to music quite proudly or whatever and forgetting people's names, I'm like, yeah, that's me. I do that a lot. So, yeah, I'd probably lean towards Star-Lord. I can be the one who makes the fatal error that ballses it all up as well. I've done that on a few occasions. So I think I see myself in Star-Lord. I think that's a pretty good shout.
That's awesome. I did not expect that. Alex, what about you?
Continuing the Chris Pratt thing, I was kind of thinking, like, I know it's not a film, but Andy from Parks and Rec, like, not his intelligence level, thank goodness, but it's just kind of, sometimes he gets so puppy-like, he gets so excited and lovable, and my wife would be like, you do that. And I'm like, oh, I do that. But yeah, so like Andy, I've also keep going back to Waymond from Everything Everywhere All at Once. Just like how kind he is, but like just he makes sure everyone's cool. Like he tries to please everyone. And I'm like, oh, that's me. Yep, I'm trying to make sure everyone in the room's happy. You know, I was like, that touched my soul. All right.
That's awesome. Honestly, I loved all your answers. I didn't expect them, but I want to thank Sarah for that question. That was awesome. So thank you, Sarah. We've got Jacob comment about Marvel. I think talking on when we were talking about it, he said he's not fatigued by Marvel content. He's excited for the future stuff. He just feels like it's peaked at Endgame, and it's going to be hard to top the Infinity Saga.
That I agree with.
Yeah,
they have really spoiled the hell out of us with Endgame and Infinity War. So it's just a waiting game. We're just waiting for it. You know, the reset, going back up on the ride again. We'll see where we end up.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the challenge is going to be being able to accept these characters as is and kind of like pushing the past phases aside, which is very difficult to do, especially when we have characters that still exist from that phase. So
it's gonna, like, in terms of quality, I think it will be hard for them to top. I wasn't happy with the past two MCU movies, but I feel like if they slow it down a bit, because the Infinity Saga, that was like how many years until it finally ended, but with this one, it's supposed to end in 2025. It's 3 years from now. So I'm like, maybe if they just spaced it out a bit, really focused on just quality over quantity, I think it could potentially top it. Because Kang, like the Secret Wars, like that's a huge event in the comics, and it with the character, like all the different characters that can be involved with it, it can just be this crazy thing. I wouldn't be surprised if they broke the Secret Wars up into like 2 or 3 parts, because that's how crazy it is. But I think if they just really just settle down and make sure the storytelling aspects on point, I think it could top it. But Endgame was like amazing. Infinity War, like that whole saga was amazing. So it will be hard to top, but they can still do it. They can still salvage it.
I don't want to give them the excuse as well, but I do feel that Phase 4 was hindered a little bit by the pandemic and COVID, and they sort of had the backs up against the wall. They had to restructure things and release things differently and quicker and later and stuff like that. So hopefully with that out of the way now, they can sort of crack on and give us, 10 out of 10 movies again.
Definitely hope so. We've got a classic saying, I think the whole Marvel fatigue is based on the promo material being plastered everywhere to the point where it's unavoidable. I understand where you're coming from, though, Paul. Yeah, just to touch on this very quickly, like when I saw the announcement at San Diego Comic-Con, my immediate thought, immediately I was like, wow. But there's only like a couple of those titles that they showed up. Personally, for me, I was like, I can't wait. I can't wait for Blade, for example. That is what I'm really hyped for. I'm really intrigued to see what they're going to do with the Fantastic Four. But then also, kind of give me hope personally when they said the 2 Avenger projects in 2025, 2026 or something like that. I was like, okay, so now we've got literally an official title where this is all going to end up. Instead, because at the minute, just kind of feel like just random movies, random series that's introducing characters who we've never heard of. So at least for me personally, with that Avengers titles announced, I'm like, right, we're getting to get to this point, So I'm excited for that part.
I think with it being plastered everywhere as well, I think that's sort of our own fault for just the space we are in. We are in the movie space, so we follow movie stuff on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You are going to see that everywhere. But I reckon I could ask my mum. I could say to her, "Hey, what's the next Marvel film coming out? Do you want to have an idea?" I won't have a clue.
What is Marvel? That's the one with Superman, right? That's what I get all the time from my fans. I'm just like, no.
Exactly that. No, but you're right though. The thing is, nowadays, even when there's a brand new announcement of anything, it's plastered all over Instagram.
Yeah, we know straight away.
Right. Yeah, even if it's not superhero related, we know about it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Ryan says, what bothers me about superhero movies is you get people that never go to the movies just to watch those, and a lot of fans are one-dimensional when it comes to films.
I disagree with that completely. I think that's having a go at people who are into superhero movies just because they don't want to go and watch the latest drama movie that's out there. That's not their genre. That's not what they want to watch. They want to pay to watch superhero movies. They probably grew up reading comics, watching the animated stuff. You can't tell someone what they want to watch, and you can't punish them for doing it. I don't think that's fair, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I was going to say I understand the perspective, but I had to kind of understand, because I think I understand that because film is such a vast medium, and because there are so many genres and subgenres that and even with some of the films I mentioned, like I just did a review on Vengeance. I know that there are some films that unfortunately are going to fly under the radar and won't kind of get the recognition they deserve. But also know that, people see what they want to see. And it's not like, when it comes to theaters and pricing and all of that if people need an excuse to go and are willing to pay and go have the experience, then it's going to be for something that's like a theater experience and a big kind of blockbuster movie. And I'm also not mad at that, because those films kind of make it possible, if this makes sense. But it's kind of like, because these films are kind of helping the theaters stay open and we're kind of bringing in revenue, we're not trying, because I promise you 2020 was it was a depressing experience for me, not being able to, literally having theaters locked, can't even side, so I understand, we're all different, so I respect everyone's kind of different perspective, but I do at least appreciate that by having those people who are willing to come, even if it's just for that, it keeps it open. We're able to still have the experience, even if it's not just for superhero films.
Right. Yeah, and I think sometimes it's a case of, even if someone isn't madly interested in superheroes, nowadays, the first day that movie's out, it's spoiled for you.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless. So even if you're not a big fan, people might, like Ryan was saying, might intentionally go there just to be like, right, I've watched it. I know what happens. At least I'm not going to get it ruined for them, kind of thing. So, thank you for the comment, Ryan. I think it's an interesting one. We've also got Jacob about Lightyear this time. I think what hurt Lightyear, besides the marketing and confusion, is why Chris Evans instead of Tim Allen. I think Elliot's like, he agrees.
it felt so weird to me while watching it. I just couldn't get in the groove with Chris Evans' voice coming out of Buzz Lightyear. It didn't make sense to me, because more spoilers, I'm afraid, sorry, but Lightyear is presented as being the movie that Andy saw when he was a kid that made him fall in love with Buzz Lightyear and get the Buzz Lightyear toy. So if the Buzz Lightyear toy is based upon this Buzz Lightyear we're seeing in the movie, why do they have different voices? That just doesn't seem to make sense to me, especially if Buzz Lightyear is such a flash and all the range toy. It seems weird for them to cheap out on the voice. Yeah, I completely agree. I think I would have liked it more if it was Tim Allen. No offense, Chris Evans.
my excuse for that is the marketing department for to make the toys couldn't afford the original voice.
Yeah. He's a big celebrity now.
I don't know, but the Star Command series is very good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember watching that so much as a kid. It was awesome. We've got Spanish Vince here. Hey, Spanish Vince, hope you're doing good. Film seems catchy, awesome. Adam says, here's my question. If you could live in one of these franchises, which one would you choose? Star Wars, Marvel, or Harry Potter? Now, the context of this question, do we mean as just ourselves in this franchise? Do we get powers in any of these franchises? Lightsabers, wands? I'm assuming as just a civilian. So who wants to go first?
Imagine being a civilian in the Marvel universe. The sky's falling down on you every other day. Just get a bomb shelter and pray for the best if you're in the Marvel's universe.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think I was watching bits of Hawkeye, I think, because I've seen the series, but my partner come at the time. She's like, imagine living in New York, again gets attacked by these Avengers, and you're like, oh, go move to London. You can move to London, and an attack happens there. I would personally say Harry Potter, because that's probably the most safe out of the three. But yeah. What about you guys?
I mean, if I can train to be a Jedi, I'm going to Star Wars all day.
Yeah, but we're just talking about civilian. You don't get nothing special. You're just yourself.
I'd go and hide on like a Dagobah or something then with Yoda. Yeah.
I'm just thinking, like, which universe would I be least likely to die? Because, like, Marvel, a car can follow me in any second. Star Wars, planets are always getting blown up. Harry Potter, they put kids in schools where they put them in a forest as detention, and there's monsters in the forest that can kill the students. So it's just like, I guess I would say probably Harry Potter. I feel like that world.
One question One question with Harry Potter. If you're a civilian, are you a muggle? Are you aware of the wizarding stuff that's going on, or are you just living your normal life?
just like here.
It's like what I'm doing now.
Is it the chance you take? You don't know.
I'll probably have to go with that one. That would be my safest bet.
Yeah, so I live for the thrills. I laugh in the face of danger. Ha ha ha. So I'll go with Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I love, like, if I use Knights of the Old Republic as a reference point, because I love that game, love both of those games. You can start off as someone normal and a civilian, but you might end up getting drawn into some unexpected adventures, meet some really interesting people. You never know what might be on the other side of that. And I just think Star Wars, you know, from the different planets and the different stories, like, you never know where you can end up. And I think I love the adventure piece of it. That's probably my favorite. And there are so many, but I just love the adventure aspect, how you just kind of run into these people, and now we're on this epic quest. So yeah, I had to go with Star Wars.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Star Wars for me as well. I mean, you get to go to the cantina. You can see all the characters like Boba Fett and all that. If you really want to get that close to those types of people, you can fly through space. You can go on the Millennium Falcon. I feel like Star Wars universe has the most to offer to a civilian, even though you might die at any given moment.
That's true. Let me change my answer to Star Wars, because if the Death Star shows up and blows up the planet, it'll be happening so fast I wouldn't even notice. So
yeah,
you know. Whereas in the Harry Potter world, I could get eaten by a giant spider. I feel like that's a slow, painful process. It's Star Wars. Let's go Star Wars.
Paul, what about you?
Yeah, Star Wars, 100%. I echo what you guys have just said. Well, Star Wars is my favorite franchise anyway, so I'm going there. I'll risk it. I'll risk it if the Empire comes down or something. It'll be worth it.
I love how we're all just like agreed that Marvel is definitely the most dangerous. No way.
Yeah,
it's not chill. Imagine how expensive insurance is in the Marvel universe. Like, you didn't pay for the superhero insurance? Well, you got to get a new car now. Sorry. I'm sorry the Hulk threw it.
I mean, in Marvel, you've got no hope. I mean, Sam Wilson couldn't even get a bank loan, and he's an Avenger. Jacob says, easily Harry Potter, because he would love to go to Hogwarts and learn some awesome spells.
Yes.
Yeah, true, unless you got sent to the forest, then you probably wouldn't.
Detention in the forest, go.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Adam. That was an awesome question. Lego News says Toy Story 4 just gave me a deep feeling. I cried at the end of the movie, and Toy Story 3 at the end gave me a deep feeling because of Andy left and felt like the end of a trilogy. Yeah, I like Toy Story 4, but I wish they just ended it with 3, and that was it.
Yeah, same.
That's how I felt. Like when I saw trailers for it, I had no interest in watching it, and even when it came out, I didn't see it for a couple of years after. And then when I finally watched it, I started crying immediately, and I loved it. But it was like one of those movies, like I didn't need this, but it was like a cherry on top. It was like, all right, thank you. It was an epilogue, I would say, to Toy Story 3. But
right,
I didn't need it, but it was great. Okay.
Yeah, definitely the payoff. It was nice to kind of see them like kind of put it to an end.
Mm-hmm.
But I still have a feeling they're going to do number 5. I wouldn't be surprised. Let's have a look. We've got Spanish Vince saying, I watched Let It Snow on Netflix 3 times and the movie's good. It has like 4 different love stories at once, and the way they finished every story was well handled. Have you guys seen Let It Snow?
Let It Snow.
No.
No.
News to me.
Oh yeah, looks interesting.
Is it about Frozen?
I don't think so, but I couldn't tell you.
If it is a love story, I'm down. I've been really into romance lately. Like my wife got me into it, and it's just like, you know, anything that touches my heart. I'm like, okay. Like my wife's favorite romance is Pride and Prejudice, and she's like, we're gonna watch this, and I'm like, okay. And you know, it's a period piece, so I had no idea what anyone was talking about, but I still felt the love in there, and I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm into this now. I won't show me more. So I'll have to check that out.
Alex, have you seen Love Actually?
Who's in that?
Ooh, everybody. Like Martin Freeman, Keira Knightley, Ejiofor. It's like it takes place on Christmas, and it's all these various love stories.
You know, I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Okay,
but
I think you would really enjoy that. That's a really good one.
I will. I'll watch that one.
Yeah, I've never seen that one either. So it looks like
I've just looked up this Let It Snow, and it's got Ned from Spider-Man in it.
Oh really?
Yeah, he's the only guy I recognise out of the cast.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
I love Ned, so I'll see it now.
Yeah, I mean, it's intrigued. So thanks for the question, Spanish Vince. We've got Lockdown Slash saying I'm going to go down the Eastern Asian route now. Favorite East Asian movie can't be the Raid films or anime.
He knows I'm here. He's asked that deliberately because he's told me that would have been both my answers.
Right.
Yeah, you've robbed my two choices there by taking away the Raid and anime movies as well.
I don't know if it's probably not East Asian, but like one of my favorite kind of like foreign movies come out in the most recent years is Parasite.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
Might not be East Asian, I really can't tell you, but that was one of mine that comes straight to mind. Parasite was fantastic. I knew nothing about it. I walked out being like, that's one of my favorite movies of that year.
And the way that film changes once a certain person knocks on the door.
Yeah. I
was not prepared for any of the rest of that.
Just everything about that movie, the twist, the ending, everything, loved it. Yeah. But yeah, what about you guys?
I think it's India, so it's technically East Asia, right? There's two movies on Netflix called Bahubali, and it's this guy who's basically a superhero. It's back in ancient times. It's a Lion King-esque type of story or Hamlet type of story, and he has super strength. He's good with the ladies and men, I think. It was just super entertaining. I really loved those movies, and they get so over the top ridiculous with the action. I recommend those movies. Bahubali on Netflix. Hopefully they're still on there. So much fun.
Oh wow, awesome! Well, I know recently I checked out RRR, like the triple R, if you want to call it that.
I need to watch that.
I need to watch that too. I hear it's great.
Yeah.
If you like Bahubali, RRR is like superhero, like the two of them. It's awesome. Elliot?
I have to admit, I don't actually know where this movie is from, so I truly apologize if this is not in East Asia at all. I don't mean any offense, but my movie would be Ong Bak. I do really enjoy that movie. It was one of the very first foreign movies I ever saw. I saw the dubbed version before the subtitled version, so it wasn't as good the first time around. But I really did get something out of it. I like the style of the movie. I like how funny it is, as well as how dark and gritty it is. So yeah, that would probably be one of my favorites, that's for sure. But like I say, I'm really sorry if I've got the geography completely wrong.
Yeah. Dude, but I think I got it wrong with Parasite, so it's all right.
No, I think they are all East Asian movies, or at least Korean.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if I can't use the Raid or anime, because he knows for a fact that's what I'd say, that's why he said that. I'd probably say John Woo's Hard Boiled then. It's probably one of the first East Asian action films I ever seen. I watched that really young. I got shown that at a very young age when it wasn't sort of a big genre and it was quite a niche genre. But I mean, if you watch Hard Boiled now, you can see so many films that it influenced, like The Matrix and stuff like that. It's an incredible action movie with Chow Yun-fat in. But yeah, I'll probably go Hard Boiled.
Oh, nice. I've heard of it, but I've never seen it. So that's awesome. And D, what about you?
So Zhang Yimou is one of my favorite East Asian directors, and I didn't realize he was East Asian specifically, so it just kind of was a nice coincidence. But I would say you couldn't go wrong. 3 of his favorite films, and really probably 3 of his most acclaimed films: Hero, House of Flying Daggers, and Curse of the Golden Flower. I would say probably out of those 3, Curse of the Golden Flower. I could genuinely watch any of those 3, but I love Curse of the Golden Flower, especially like from a visual standpoint.
Wow, that's awesome. I've never seen the last one, but I've seen House of Flying Daggers many years ago. But I remember that movie at the time. I was like, wow, that cinematography was fantastic. But I've never seen it since. So I could probably appreciate it more now. But yeah, that's some awesome choices. A lot of movies you guys mentioned I've never seen. No shock there. But we don't have to add them to my list. So yeah, thank you for the question, man. That was awesome. I got Jacob saying 2020 has inspired him the most was Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah, great movie. Great movie. Definitely like the family element as well, especially at the ending. Yeah, really good. It says, besides having the best ending I've seen all year and its wacky premise, I looked at life and the family dynamic impacted me in such a way I've never felt for an A24 movie. Yeah, I think that's definitely fair to say. Yeah, no, awesome, Jacob. I'm glad that that's inspired you a lot, and yeah, it's a fantastic movie. Ryan says, what's a popular movie or franchise that's just not for you?
Harry Potter. A movie. I like the books. I've tried watching the movies so many times, and I just get bored of them. I just don't think they're a very good adaptation from the books. Harry Potter fans might disagree. I'll say that's just my take on it. I just every time I try and rewatch them, I give them another go, and I get so far, I'm like, I can't be bothered. But the books I really enjoy, but the films I just can never get through them or ever feel the need to want to go back to them or anything.
Yeah, not just yourself. Like I know Rashad G Reviews, if anyone knows of him. He's been watching the Harry Potter series with Anthony Perez, and he can't get into them either, Paul. So it's not himself. But for me, I would say Goodfellas. I watched it a while ago, and I just did not like that movie at all. But I love movies like that, like The Godfather. I love The Godfather. But yeah, Goodfellas for me, I just couldn't get into it.
That's fair.
But yeah, Elliot, Alex, D, what about you guys?
I need a little bit longer to think, actually. I'm not too sure.
Okay, sure. D, Alex, have you guys got one?
There was this Western that's really popular, and I did a review on it, and people got mad at me because I didn't like it. It was Unforgiven, Clint Eastwood.
Oh, okay.
I watched it, and it was just like, okay, that was a couple hours of my life just gone by. And I had my dad, who he texted me immediately after I posted the review saying, I'm going to kick your ass. How dare you not like Unforgiven? I was just like, I'm sorry. I just didn't care for it.
But I've never seen it, but I know it's obviously a big movie. So yeah, that's interesting. I can imagine that's the thing. Whenever you say like you don't like a popular movie or franchise, people's like, what? Really? Like Paul, when I said Goodfellas, he had his head straight away.
It's a fun reaction. I love it when I get those threatening texts from my dad. Always involving movies. How do you not like Star Wars? It was the Rise of Skywalker movie. I didn't like it. And he's like, you don't know Star Wars. Come on, it's Star Wars. And I'm like, no, it's not, Dad. Why do you like it? I should kick your ass, Dad.
Elliot, I do believe Rise of Skywalker is one of your WTF films of all time.
Yeah, I was thinking of the other one that I gave really low score to this year was the new Jurassic Park Dominion movie. A lot of people were more positive towards it than I was. I'll put it that way. Another one that came to mind while I was trying to think of one, I was very close to walking out of Dunkirk when that was in cinemas. I just didn't get into it. I didn't relate to any of the characters. I didn't feel like there was enough dialogue going on. It just sort of felt like, this is a great shot, this is a great shot, and this is a great shot. And we've just put them all together in order with a lot of explosions. And I really felt so disconnected to that movie. And I thought everyone else would feel the same. And then I got home and it was getting 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. The sound design's insane. And I was like, oh, maybe I need to rewatch this. Maybe I didn't get get the right feel for it. And then when I watched it again, I still just felt the same. There's just a lack of connection to that movie for me.
Yeah, I'm the same. I felt exactly the same with Dunkirk. I was like, it looks amazing, but it's boring the hell out of me.
Yeah. I wish I cared more about it.
Yeah,
that's fair. I only remember seeing it in the cinema, and I've not seen it since. I remember Harry Styles was good in that movie. He did a great acting role. That's all I kind of remember about it, though. D, what about you?
I'll say first that I think that Scorsese's films are not for me, and it doesn't take away from him as a director. And I think that they're wonderfully made films, but it's just I don't know if it's something about the crime gangster. I don't know if it's the genre, or it's because I've seen the similarity of the stories, or it's just something about the stories that don't click with me. But I just cannot really get into them. I'm gonna say American Gangster might have been one of the few, but a lot of those it does not click. And I think the actual dynamics of it is really interesting, and especially with the mob or with the mafia, but it just does not work. And then I completely forgot about these, but the Ice Age franchise has done zero for me. I mean, like nothing.
Yeah, and the fact that they're still milking it now, like, didn't a new one come out this year?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard about it coming out later on.
I didn't watch it. So D, I agree with you there. I remember I really liked the first movie back when. I mean, I saw it in the cinema, but yeah, I've never been one to be like, I really want to rewatch the Ice Age franchise again. That's a good one, actually. I like that one. So thank you for the question, Ryan. Jacob says, I haven't seen DC Legal Super Pets, but yeah, I got annoyed when The Rock spoiled the post-credit scene on social media and opening weekend.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying what the spoiler is for people who haven't seen, but there's 2 post-credit scenes. But yeah, I think he ruined like the last post-credit scene. So yeah, I can understand it's frustrating though, especially when you haven't seen it yet or you haven't had a chance to. So yeah, absolutely.
I'm a huge fan of The Rock, and nothing he does is wrong in my eyes. So I will say he did it for a very good reason. He did it for a reason. Man,
yeah. I can't add anything to that. Fair enough. I'm not going to do that way. We got Lego News saying, if you were a superhero, what would you call yourself and what would your power be? For me, I have a superhero called Speed Portal, who is basically me, whose powers are speed and opening portals. That's awesome. Okay.
I think I'd want to teleport. I think that would be a really fun power. Just like that, and I'm somewhere else. I can be at the football, I can be at the cinema, I can be at the shop. But you know, even just small things like you're making a cup of tea, you've got it all done. Damn it, I'm out of sugar. Just teleport to the shop, got some sugar, I'm back making the cup of tea. I think it would just make life easier for me. I've always got a million things going on, and it would just cut out the middleman if I could just jump from job to job. But when it comes to a name, God, I have no idea what I'd go for a name.
I'd call myself D Movieman, and I'd make my power to be able to direct incredible movies.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was not expecting that. All right. Okay. Yes, that sounds awesome.
I will
Well,
pay you
Dave-
copyright fees. Don't worry, I'll pay you copyright fees.
There we go. There we go.
Well, D, I was actually going to ask you at some point in history. I was going to ask you, where did the movie man come from?
So I'm trying to think. Because I kind of struggled as far as what the name of the channel should be. I think I probably thought Popcorn Alley, something with the word cinephile, something at the theater, at the movie. Like, there were so many things I thought about. But what made it easy is that Movieman is actually a name that a lot of people call me throughout the years, because I always talk about movies, or I've hosted movie nights. I'll show people the newest trailer and things like that. So like Movieman has kind of become like my nickname, by a lot of people. And so
Right.
as I was figuring out what to name it, I was like, okay. And then I thought about the first letter of my name, and it was like, oh, well, D, the Movie Man, D.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's awesome. Because I thought about that as well. I was like, is it because he's the movie man kind of thing? Like, so I was like, well, that makes sense, So yeah, well, thank you for answering that. But yeah, I mean, in terms of superhero names, I don't know. Have you guys got superhero names? Well, no, Paul's gonna be called D Movie Man. So
Should I just call myself Paul Tambs just to keep the joke going?
That's a villain, man. That's a villain.
Yeah. Teleporting all around the place, causing trouble.
So I think I would. This is literally just off the dome. I guess my name would be Tempest, because I think of it like kind of like storms. And so my powers would basically be, and I think it depends. I'd have to work out what manifests at what time. But basically, my powers fluctuate between darkness and light. So there are times where, like, if I have dark powers, then it's like I have shadows. I can pull things into shadows. I can throw things out of shadows. I can like black out the sun or something like that. Just do things like that. And then there are other times with the light, I can blind people. I can, things as far as light or flash things past people. That's kind of just in my head what I saw.
nice.
And power.
Right. Alex, what about you?
This is a question I ask myself every day. It's like, what would I have? What power would I have? Like, I think a lot of them are cool. I really love super speed. I think that's one of the cooler powers. Lately I've been into telekinesis, like just being able to wave my hand and send things flying. That was always really cool to me. I was thinking about being a telepath too, like read minds, but I'm like, I don't want to know what people are thinking, so I'll just keep all my thoughts to myself. But yeah, I think it would be telekinesis, and I'm gonna steal from Star Wars for a bit and call myself the Force. I might immediately get sued by Disney, but I'll just throw lawyers at them.
I like it. I think I would probably call myself Future Man, because obviously I love Back to the Future, and have the power to time travel. Like that would be awesome. Whether it's just to fix a mistake or I just spilled a glass of water, I'd be like, right, click like that. There you go. It's cleaned up. It didn't happen. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's some good answers, and it's a good question. I like that one. So thank you, Lego News. Let's have a look. We've got Jacob saying a bit of a change here. He said, I don't care for the Oscars, but Parasite was the most deserved Best Picture winning a good number of years. Yeah, definitely. And we've got Lego News saying, I'd watch Will Smith smack and Chris Rock at the Oscars any other day. Wow. Okay. That's fair to you, but fair. I've got Jamie though saying, yeah, glad I could catch this live.
Hey
Jamie.
Hashtag justice for Jamie.
Justice for Jamie.
My gosh,
yes. We've got Adam saying, my superhero would be elemental. My superpower would be all the elements.
That's good.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. Spanish Vince says for me it would have to be ice powers. Yeah, that'd be pretty good, especially in this heat in the UK at the moment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Although he says, wait, never mind time travel. He just spoiled it for himself. He had ice powers and now he's changed it.
You can time travel to a cooler time if you're hot.
There we go.
Right. But he says, and freeze in time so I could prank people and mess one with time. Yeah. We've also got, would it be cool if a team of Marvel villains happened between Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Doctor Doom, Bullseye, and Blackheart?
Sounds intriguing.
Yeah, it would be a cool team up for sure. So I want to just quickly fire it over to you guys now, and I'm going to start with Paul. This is just you guys to promote your channel a little bit too, so if you're watching live or after the fact. So Paul, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about what videos you've got coming up on your channel?
Yeah, so I took a bit of hiatus off YouTube for a bit, and I've come back. I've got a new live stream that Mike happened to be part of the first episode, called Movie Buffs, a one-on-one movie. What was it called? One-on-one live discussion with movie YouTubers, where I've got 10 questions down, and it'll be the same 10 questions I ask every guest I have. And it's just me getting to know people in the community. Mike, there he is, this side. Mike was the first guest. We had a lot of fun doing that. I've got a few other guests coming down the pipeline. I'm looking forward to carrying that on. On top of that, I'm working on another live stream that I used to have a live stream called Thursday Night Heat that I sort of put to the side because I was getting a bit burnt out by it and a bit bored of it. I'll just say I was a bit bored of it, a bit fatigued of it. But I want to come back and do some more live streams. But yeah, Movie Buffs is the one that I'm sort of working on the most at the moment in terms of content.
Yeah, awesome. And do you have any idea when your next Movie Buffs episode's going to come out?
In the next week and a half.
Okay. Well, dude, fair play. Yeah, Movie Buffs was a ton of fun, and I can't wait to see like what other guests you get onto that. So yeah, anyone who's watching live after the fact right now, go down to the description box below. You can find all my guests. But firstly, you can find Paul there. So please go subscribe to him. Alex, what about you? What content have you got coming up?
So I'm getting close to wrapping up my Zack Snyder movie binge. So this Tuesday, I'm releasing my review on The Watchmen. So really excited about that. And then the following Tuesday, I'm also going to release what was it? Dawn of the Dead. Watch Dawn of the Dead, and then I'm already working on the rankings for all right, what is his best and worst film. So really looking forward to doing that. Hope you guys are able to catch it.
Yeah, definitely. And can we expect to see some skits in those reviews?
Oh, definitely.
Brilliant. So please go down to and subscribe to Alex's channel at A-Town Reviews. Yeah, he's been covering a lot of Zack Snyder movies and all of them. I particularly loved the video on Sucker Punch. I thought that was really well done. I loved it. It's turned me off that movie even more to actually watching it. So yeah, you've done a good job.
Thank you.
So please go subscribe to Alex. D, what videos have you got coming up on your channel?
Well, I just dropped very recently. I dropped my spoiler-free reviews for Nope and then Vengeance. Only reason I would say, please, if you're interested, please check out my review for Vengeance. Not for me, but just because I think it's a film, as I mentioned earlier, that deserves a lot more attention and a lot more acclaim. It's definitely going to fly under the radar. So just to just hear some thoughts about why I think it's such a solid movie, and then just so you can feel compelled to check it out for yourself. And then I'm kind of waffling over a few ideas, but I did see, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. I saw Mr. Perez Goes to Paris. So I'm thinking about maybe knocking out a couple of reviews on that, possibly Bullet Train. And once I'm finished with Bridgerton, because I just have a couple more episodes of that to go, I am hoping to get more into the more film-centered ideas that I had, like a ranking related to Jumanji, and a couple of maybe flashback reviews. So some of these are things I wanted to do like from the beginning, but you know, time is always slipping away. So, yeah, so that's what I have coming up next.
Sweet. Yeah, and please go over and subscribe to D Movieman as well. Yeah, I like D also, like in your reviews, you also do like a lot of skits in them also, and it's so funny. So yeah, D, I've checked out your recent reviews for Nope and Vengeance as well. Vengeance sounds awesome. I hope we get it in the UK.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if we will. But yeah, I've heard great things about that. So yeah, please go over and subscribe to D. He is wrapping up the Bridgerton series as well, and I know we've talked like in the background. He said you've got a lot of ideas coming, so I'm excited to see them. I know Elliot. I know today you just dropped a review for Bullet Train.
Yes, I was just also going to add in on D. He also offers an excellent British accent, which you can see on his Bridgerton review. So do check that out as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in regard to my channel, there is a video essay on Whiplash coming out. Really sorry that I don't have a release date. I'm a first timer to video essays. I'm hoping within this week, maybe next week. I will keep you in the loop. There's a few movies coming out, actually. The new Predator movie, Prey, is coming out. I've heard really good things about it. So I am actually going in with quite high hopes, but I don't want to get too carried away because we've been here before and it didn't quite go well. So there's also, for some of the sports fans out there, on Amazon Prime, there is a new documentary on Arsenal Football Club called All or Nothing. I don't know when it finishes, probably towards the end of the month, but I will be doing a review for that. And I have got a hot takes coming out towards the end of the month as well, where I will be getting soaked by water in the process. So quite a busy month for I.M.O Reviews.
Awesome. Yeah, man, it's got some great stuff. I didn't know about the Arsenal documentary, so that's new to me. But yeah, Elliot's got some great content over his channel. He's got a lot coming up as well. And again, he's like one subscriber off 250. So someone please go over and support his channel. Also subscribe to him. But I just want to take this moment just to thank Paul, Elliot, Alex, and D for being on this Z Talks. It's been a blast. Have you guys got any kind of final words to say before we wrap this up?
I just want to thank you for letting us come onto the stream. I know we've only recently sort of connected in the terms of YouTube friends, if you like. So it's been great getting to know you. You've been on my channel. I'm now pleased to have been on your channel. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, Mike, and I hope we can do more in the future.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely get you back for Z Talks in the future also. I'm not sure when I've got because I know next week's guest, for anyone that's watching now, next week it's myself, got the Big Rob Theory, we've got Rashad G Reviews, and we've also got Lovely from Lovely's Movie Reviews, so first time guest. So it's going to be an awesome one. But yeah, Paul, no, you're absolutely welcome. And again, I just want to thank Elliot, Alex, and D as well for taking the time to do this. And yeah, until the next time that we'll see you guys, we'll see you later.
Take care. Bye.